Happy Friday, everybody. It's time for Pilates, my favorite part of the week. Lovely to have you all here, whether this is live or if you've accessed this as part of an on-demand recording. We've got 45 minutes of flow style movement. We're going to start and finish in standing. The only prop I would recommend having is a small cushion, towel roll, or pillow for your knees if you think you might want extra padding when we're down on all fours. Move through at a pace that makes sense for your own body. I'll try to offer a couple of modifications if it seems like that might make sense, but otherwise I will stop talking and we can start moving. So let's go ahead and make our way up to that mat. If you do have a towel roll or a cushion, go ahead and place it off to the side. I'll cue you in a few moments when that might be helpful for you. But let's start now with our feet a little bit wider apart than our shoulders. We're going to point our toes toward the front bottom corners of the room now, and let's spread those toes away from each other. We're going to draw pinky and big toe away from each other enough that we get that nice stretch across the top of the foot. Plant the big toe, plant the pinky, and plant that heel firmly into the floor. And from here, we're going to soften up our knees just a touch. They don't need to bend a lot. We're just going to keep them from locking out so that we actually have to use gravity and use our muscles to help us stay up nice and tall versus relying on our ligaments. We're going to picture a string pulling the crown of the head all the way up to the ceiling, and that same string dropping a plumb line through the center of the body, drawing that tailbone down to the floor. Let's shift our weight back and forth. We'll go toward our toes and toward our heels, keeping the whole foot pressed gently into the floor. Take some breaths as we move. And as we keep rocking forward and back, we're going to take our belly and our spine and draw them toward each other. We'll feel that seatbelt of muscles engaging through our midsection from those lowest ribs all the way down to just above the pelvis. We'll feel our lower legs start to warm up and activate. We'll feel our thigh muscles even start to warm up and activate. We might even feel that midsection a little bit, depending on how far forward and how far back we are shifting our weight. Let's come right back over our heels. We're going to press the outside borders of our feet firmly into the mat. We're going to press the base of the big toe firmly into the floor. And keeping that core just gently activated, let's bring our arms up and overhead. Big breath in. Let's take them out to the sides and all the way down by the body. Again, we'll take a big breath in, arms come up and overhead. Let's clasp our fingers, turn the palms toward the ceiling, and let those shoulders release away from the ears. We're going to think about letting the shoulder blades slide down the back side of the body. Can we press our elbows straight? Let's go straight as we can get them. Maybe they straighten out all the way. Maybe there's still a little bend in them, but we should start to feel some opening through our armpits and through the sides of the trunk. Let's take a big breath in here with those fingertips reaching upward, and we're going to drop the shoulder blades down the back side of the body again as we reset belly to spine. Let's take some tall side bends. We're going to bring that upper body up and over toward the side wall, pushing through our feet to pop that trunk nice and steady up over our pelvis again. Exhale, side bend, reach toward the top of that wall. Press up tall toward the ceiling, and we'll breathe out to the other side wall one more time. Let's inhale all the way up, palms facing the ceiling, and we'll open our arms out to T, dropping those shoulder blades again down the back, turning our palms to face the screen, and we're going to bring our hands forward, slightly forward of trunk level, making sure that we can see our thumbs wiggling in our peripheral vision. That's going to make sure that we're in line with that shoulder blade plane. We're going to drop those tailbones down toward the mat again, and we're going to keep that core active as we turn our body side to side. We're going to keep rotating. We're going to imagine that we're spinning on that long axis that goes all the way from the crown of the head down toward that tailbone. And then we'll come right to center, reaching those fingertips out toward our side walls. Let's go ahead and drop the hands down. We'll squeeze and release our shoulder blades up to the ceiling and down toward that waistline. Take them up and take them down. Take them up. Take them down, drop the fingertips down toward the sides of those thighs, and we'll tip that head from side to side. Let's keep that going. Lengthen out through the side of the neck and the top of the shoulder that we're moving our head away from. We're going to come right back to center and roll those shoulders back and down for 3, for 2, and for 1. Dropping those fingertips toward the outer knee joint lines. We're going to bring our feet in a little bit. The toes are pointing forward, feet are parallel to each other, and the heels are now lined up with our sit bones. Keeping those knees nice and soft, we'll take our fingertips to the front of the waistline, thumbs to the back of the waistline, and gently press the fingertips and the thumbs toward each other. As we do so, if we engage belly to spine, we're going to feel the muscles tense underneath our fingertips right around that waistline. Let's shift our weight forward and back, just as we did with that wider base. This time with a slightly narrower base, what do we feel underneath our fingertips? Can we maybe feel those trunk muscles kicking in a little more firmly into our hands? Keep that going. Forward and back. And we're gonna come right back over the front of those ankle joints and shift our weight from foot to foot. Push the floor away with those feet. That's excellent. We'll keep that going. Let's make some circles around that base. We'll keep that going again, monitoring under the fingertips. What do we feel going on under those fingertips? Pause wherever you are, and then we're going to circle the other direction. We'll keep that going. Let's shift our weight toward the balls of the feet. Hover the heels up off the floor. We're going to hold that there. Keeping the big toe and pinky pressed into the mat. We're going to go up and down on our toes. There's 4. Lift and lower for 3. Here's 2. And last one, taking our heels to the mat now. We're going to press our weight back over the ankle joints. Shake those legs out. Shake those wrists out, and let's get ready to make our way down to the floor. We're going to be facing lengthwise on our mat, but before we go down all the way to the floor, we'll be working our shoulder blades a touch more, this time more firmly against gravity to get a little bit of resistance. For now, though, if you have that roller or that towel roll rather off to the side of your mat, grab it, place it in the center of the mat, and then we'll turn toward it. We're going to back ourselves up. The heels are staying hip width apart, and we're going to take the pinky sides of our fingertips and place them right where the thighs fold into that pelvis. Keeping that core active, let's shift our trunk. We're going to tip it forward, moving from our hips. The back is nice and still, and we bend forward till we feel those thighs working a bit. We're going to reach our hands toward the mat, keeping that core engaged. Let's move through a row. Squeeze and release the shoulder blades, remembering we can always bend our knees more if we need to take pressure off the back or even off the backs of those thighs. As we continue to row, we're going to feel those blade muscles pulling those shoulder blades toward each other. We'll feel a little pinch. We're going to squeeze, tucking our elbows in by our sides, and then let's press the arms straight, reaching those fingertips back behind us. Press and press. Repeat for 4. Here's 3. Here's 2. There's 1. Let's sweep our hands toward the mat. We're going to bend our knees as much as we need to get our hands down flat. Walking the hands forward to the head of the mat, we're going to keep our tailbone pointing upward toward the top of that wall behind us. Let's go ahead and wiggle those knees a bit. Maybe they straighten all the way. Maybe they just straighten a bit. We just get a little bit of a straight moment there. Maybe we get a little bit of a stretch through the thighs. We're going to take our hands, spread those fingers away from each other, and let's do our best to line our elbows up with our ears. If this is too much to be in this position, we're going to take our knees down to the mat. Either way, we'll gently press our weight from side to side, from one hand to the other. As we come back to the middle here, we'll reset belly to spine, and let's bring ourselves forward toward a plank. We can have our knees straight. We can have our feet pressed firmly into the floor, right at the toes, the balls of the feet. If we need a little more assistance here, a little less leverage, we can take those knees right down to our padding. Let's shift our weight from side to side, pressing those shoulder blades toward the floor. Let's come right back over the middle of our hands, both weight through both hands equally. And now everybody bend those knees, even if they haven't been bent before. We're going to walk our hands back slightly till our wrists are just underneath our shoulders again. And again, we shift our weight toward the screen and toward the far wall. One more time, shift toward the screen, shift toward the far wall. We'll come right back to center. Let's take our bottom back to our heels. We're going to open up that shoulder angle, open up those armpits. And again, let that head relax between those arms. Big breath in here. Exhale and keep that core engaged. Pull through the heels of the hands. We're going to bring those shoulders up over our wrists again. Press back, bottom to heels. Pull up. Shoulders are over those wrists. We're going to walk our knees forward slightly, turn the tops of the feet to the floor. And let's take one foot at a time and place it right out beyond the outer border of that mat. We're going to keep that going. Inward rotation of those hips. Let's bring that second foot back to center and then cross one ankle over the other, warming up our external rotation motion. One more time, cross, and on the other foot. We come back to center, that belly comes to the ceiling. We curl to cat, looking toward our thighs, and we take it to cow with the tailbone to the ceiling and that breastbone reaching forward. Again, curl it up to cat, and let's take it to cow. Curl to cat, Take it to cow, and let's come right back to center before wagging our tail from side to side. Bring a hip toward each same side shoulder, folding that body in half. Wag toward the screen, wag toward the far wall, then we come right back to center. Let's take our toes together, bring those knees away from each other, and we're gonna rock the bottom back to our heels. Drop to the forearms. Let's slide our elbows in until they touch the inner knee joint line on each side, and we're gonna rock our weight from side to side. Shifting our shoulder toward the outer edge of the mat, and then shifting the opposite shoulder toward the opposite edge of the mat. Let's come back to center, slide our hands forward, and walk those hands toward the screen. We're gonna touch thumbs. Fingertips are pressed into the mat. And again, if we have the slack to do so, we can lower our head, let it rest between our arms. Take a big breath here in the slightly side bent position. As we breathe in, we're gonna feel our ribs open up on the opposite side of the body. As we exhale, we'll walk the other way. We'll pause again, thumbs touching just beyond the outer border of our mat. Release that head between those arms and take a big breath in. Open up those ribs. As we exhale, we walk our hands forward, drop to the forearms, and shift our weight over those elbows. If you do have something underneath your knees, go ahead and take it out now. We're going to place it at the head of our mat for use again later. From here, we keep our weight over those elbows. Let's lengthen our legs behind us. We're going to hold here, resting just underneath those hip bones, nodding the chin to line up with the neck. Let's turn that head from side to side. Look toward the screen. Look away and then look right back to center while resetting belly to spine. Squeeze those blades together. Let the trunk draw toward the floor and then press the other way. The trunk comes up toward the ceiling as those blades press toward the mat. Squeeze together, press apart. We should feel some work through those muscles underneath our shoulder blades, right at the outer borders toward the trunk. We'll press up. We're going to turn toward our screen. And then let's go ahead and turn to our backs. We'll bend up our knees. We're going to line our heels up with our sit bones and press those hands into the floor. Let's take a breath here. And then as we exhale, we're going to widen those collarbones away from the center of the body. Feel that stretch through the front of the chest. Keeping that core active or resetting belly to spine, turn the palms to face the ceiling. And let's picture that pelvic clock on our midsection. 12 toward the breastbone, 6 toward the pubic bone, 3 and 9 on either sides at the points at the front of the pelvis. We're going to curl that pelvis toward 12 o'clock, flattening our low back down, feeling that abdominal area open up. Release it, tailbone toward the floor and toward those heels, allowing that low back to lift up off the mat if that feels appropriate. Curl to 12 and reverse to 6. Again, curl to 12, reverse to 6. Bring that pelvis right back to neutral, and we're going to rock from side to side. The far hip lifts up as the hip closest to the screen draws closer to the mat. Rock it the other direction. Near hip lifts, far hip toward the mat. We're going between 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Notice we need to press our feet a little bit unevenly into the mat in order to keep those thighs facing directly forward. We're thinking about keeping our shoulders pressed firmly into the mat as well. As we come back to neutral, take a big breath in. Exhale, reset belly to spine. Think about taking those lowest ribs and dropping them toward the floor. We're going to feel those upper abdominals activate just a touch. The neck is staying nice and still, and the head is resting on the floor as we open our arms out to the sides toward a straight line from one middle finger to the other. Turn the head from side to side, look to one wall and then the other, and then right back to center toward the ceiling. We're going to keep our core engaged as our arms float up, and we bring our knees to meet them up in tabletop. Let's press our hands and our thighs toward each other as we drop our shoulders away from our ears. As we build pressure from our hands and our thighs toward each other, we're going to feel that whole front of the trunk activating again. We'll give the chin a little nod so we can look toward our fingertips. And then let's straighten and bend our knees. Toes to the ceiling and then shins back to that parallel tabletop position. Straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. Holding tabletop, we'll take a big breath in. And breathing out, we're going to draw our far knee into the body. Hang on to it with the hands and slide the opposite leg all the way down to the mat, pressing the back of the knee firmly into the floor. Let's take the hand on the screen side to the opposite knee and then draw that knee gently across the body. We're going to rock that lower half of the body toward our screen, opening up the low back while keeping that far shoulder pressed into the floor. We'll come back to center, keep the trunk nice and still as we switch to our other side. Pull that near knee into the body, lengthen the opposite leg down to the mat, back of the knee pressing toward the floor, and then our hand draws that knee across, giving us a little wiggle through our lower body, a little stretch through the hip, And we keep that shoulder nice and pressed into the floor on the side that we're moving our knee away from. As we come back to center, we regroup here. We're going to grab onto that shin, roll the shoulders back and down, and reset belly to spine. Keep that core active as we hover our straight supporting leg up off the mat. We're going to stretch it toward the wall in front, and let's roll through some circles. Trace some circles on the wall in front, with the rest of the body staying nice and still. Let's take those circles and move in the other direction. Keep it going. Keep that midsection active. Pause and then take that lifted leg from side to side. Stretch it toward the far wall and then right back toward that screen, maybe crossing midline if you can. One more time, side to side. Stretch those toes directly forward and we'll switch sides, pulling and pressing toward the wall in front, maintaining that outstretched leg in a hovered position. Keep that core active and we circle the wall in front of us. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take it the other direction. You are always welcome to make that circle a little bigger, a little smaller, depending on what your body needs right now. A challenge, a greater challenge, or even a step back. Let's press forward to the wall. And we're going to switch sides, pull and press. Switch and press. Switch and press. Switch and press. Switch and press. Let's repeat. Switch for 4. For 3. Here's 2. And 1. As we keep that near leg closest to the screen, pulled into the body, we'll take our opposite leg and reach it all the way down to the mat before grabbing on behind our lifted thigh. As we kick the thigh into the hands, we give our shoulders another roll back and down. Stretch those toes, straightening that knee, bringing the toes toward the ceiling, and then bend right back to tabletop. We're going to repeat that again, lengthening through the back of the leg. We're lengthening out through our hamstring, as well as all those other tissues that go along the back of the leg toward that foot, even toward the tip of the toes. One more time, we straighten that knee as best we can, and then we wiggle through our ankle. If there's not much wiggle room, feel free to bend your knee. That'll give you a little more motion at the ankle. As we point our toes toward the ceiling, we're again going to reset belly to spine. We'll keep that lifted leg as close to where it is as we can as we bring our arms up to the ceiling. If you need to put a little more slack in the system, feel free to bend that knee. And then keeping the pelvis still as we can, facing the ceiling, we'll take that lifted leg from side to side. Trace a horizontal line on the ceiling and feel free to make it bigger if you need it. Feel free to back down that range. Moving through a range where we can keep that pelvis nice and still, but also feel the challenge through our thighs as we do so. Let's move on to circles. Again, if we need to bend the knee, that is perfectly fine. We want that circular motion to be coming from our hip. If you want to take it further, hover that supporting leg up off the mat. We breathe in at the top, and then exhaling, we'll take that circle the other way. There's 4, circle 3, 2, and 1. Lower the hovered leg if it's been hovered. Draw the opposite knee into the body, relaxing the front of the hip as best we can. We're going to take our hand to that bent knee and give it a rock out to the side. We're stirring our hip in its socket a little bit, releasing those muscles that have been holding our leg nice and steady as we draw them to the ceiling. Let's get ready to repeat on the other side. We'll roll our shoulders back and down, reset that belly to spine as needed, and switch legs. Lengthen that previously stretched leg down to the mat, hang on behind the lifted thigh, and we're going to press those toes forward toward the wall in front as we kick the thigh into the hands. Again, we'll straighten and bend. Find the range where to get that nice length behind the thigh. Pressing those toes up to the ceiling. Flex and point through that ankle. Again, feeling free to bend that knee if we need a little more slack to lower down. Point the toes, draw that belly back to the spine, and then keeping our lifted leg right where it is as best we can. Those arms come to the ceiling. Take that lifted leg side to side. Small range first. Building range as we build our confidence, as we see how steady we can take our pelvis. Don't be afraid to let that pelvis go long for the ride. Just kind of find that end range that we have. All right, and we're going to circle. Again, we start small. We can bend that knee if we need a little more slack. We can slow it down, make that circle a little bigger if you'd like. We'll pause up at the top, taking a breath. Breathing out, let's take that circle the other way. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Grab that knee, draw it into the body, releasing the front of the hip. And again, we'll stir this side in its socket, Bringing that knee from side to side, lengthening out through that hip. As we pull everything back to center, hug the other knee in to meet that first one, and we rock our body from side to side, allowing that low back to melt down into the floor. Excellent. We're going to come right back to center, reset those trunk muscles, draw the belly down and away from the thighs, reach the arms to the ceiling, and we're going to unfurl our legs toward tabletop. Draw your knees and ankles together, and then from here, the hands come down just beyond the outer borders of our mat. We're going to keep those collarbones wide away from each other, keep that chest nice and open, and let's rock the lower half of our body from the screen toward the far wall. If you need to take pressure off your trunk or your back, draw those knees a little closer to the body. If you want to challenge it a little more, stretch those toes up toward the ceiling as best you can. And you're welcome to let the hip come up on the side we're moving our legs away from. Let's come back to center, and then we're going to roll through some counterclockwise circles. Just as with the single leg circles, if you need those knees to be bent, that's okay. If we want to keep them straight, if we want to slow it down, make that circle a little bigger, you're welcome to do that as well. Pause at the top and take a breath, and then breathing out, we're going to take that circle the other way. Again, any modification or progression needed in terms of bending the knees or making that circle bigger or smaller, you are welcome to do so. All right, coming back to the ceiling, arms float back up. We're going to breathe those toes out to our side walls, and then we'll inhale them up toward the ceiling. Exhale them away. Inhale them to the ceiling. Again, exhale them away. Inhale to the ceiling, and last time through, breathe those toes out to the side walls. Inhale them up to the ceiling. Feet, knees, and hips are equal distance apart from each other now, so we have a little space between our toes. We're going to bend those knees back to tabletop and flex up the feet. Let's take a big breath in. As we breathe out this time, we're going to take that chin and nod it toward the neck. We'll drop our breastbone and our lowest ribs down toward the floor. That's going to let us get into those upper abdominals a little bit. We're going to drop our belly and our spine toward each other. Hold those positions. Let's lower one heel at a time down toward the mat before lifting it right back up to tabletop. The goal here is to keep all of those connection points that are on the mat when we're in our tabletop position nice and steady as we move our feet. So the hips are moving, everything else is nice and still. If we want to make this more challenging, breathe out and lower both heels down. Breathe in, lift both heels up. We can repeat making this more challenging by bringing our heels a little farther away from the body. We can make it more challenging by straightening our legs, opening those heels forward toward the wall in front, and then inhaling them back to the ceiling. 3 more, whatever progression or modification you've chosen. Inhale to the ceiling, exhale away. Inhale to the ceiling. One more time, exhale away. Inhale to the ceiling. We bend those knees, pointing the toes toward the wall in front of us. And let's take our feet down to the mat and the arms back down by our sides. Give those shoulders a couple of shrugs. We'll take a few breaths here. We're going to curl that pelvis, reach it to 12 and to 6. We'll take it back to center, rocking the pelvis from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Coming back to center, those knees rock away from and then toward our screen before coming right up to face the ceiling. Let's inch our heels back a little closer to the bottom. We're going to move into some bridges next. With the bridge, what we're going for is a nice neutral trunk. That trunk is going to stay still no matter how high up we lift our hips. If you feel like you're slamming your body into an arch, just don't go up so high. What we're trying to shoot for is feeling those rear end muscles doing the work for us. So here we'll take a big breath in. Breathing out, we draw belly to spine and squeeze the glutes. Feel those cheeks engage. Press through your heels. We're going to lift our hips and lengthen our knees toward the wall in front. Let's come up until we feel that first barrier to movement. Maybe that's feeling like our back's going to kick in, or maybe it's just feeling like our quads can't take it any further and our hips can't take it any further. Wherever we are, we're going to hold that there, reaching those knees to the wall in front of us as if there's little tractor beams moving us forward. Inhale here and exhale, lengthen that tailbone down, reaching the tailbone toward the heels as we come down. Touch the mat and we lift right back up. We're going to lower and lift at a pace that makes sense for you. I want you to try to keep engagement through those glutes. Try to picture a little space between each vertebra, both as we lower and as we lift. And we're pressing through our heels to ensure that we're engaging those rear end muscles. Our hamstrings are going to work a bit for us. Those hips are going to work. Those core muscles are going to work. And we're going to pause our next bridge up toward the ceiling. Hold it there. Keep the hips lifted. Keep those hips level with each other. Take it up and down on the toes. There's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take the hips down, or heels down rather. Big breath in. Exhaling now, we take our hips down. Lengthen them forward toward the heels. Picturing space between each vertebra as we lower that trunk to the mat. Release the glutes at the bottom, and we rock the lower half of our body toward and away from the screen. You're fine to lift those hips up away from the floor as long as that feels appropriate. We may get a little side stretch, we may get a little hip stretch, we may get a little low back stretch here. Let's regroup and center. Take a big breath in. Breathe out, belly to spine. Squeeze and lift those hips again. We're going to hold them up to the ceiling now. Keeping the hips lifted, let's take one knee at a time, just out to the outer border of our mat. Keep those hips level if you can. Try to keep them raised up toward the ceiling. 4, switch 3, switch 2, and switch 1. Knees forward, big breath in, and exhale, lower down. Release the glutes at the bottom. One more time, we take those knees side to side. We'll take a big breath in. We'll take a big breath out, and we'll come right back to center. One more inhale here. Exhale, belly to spine, squeeze and lift those hips. We're going to hold here. We're going to move through to a march. For those of you who are lifting one up and down on each side is too much. If it bothers your body, you are welcome to take one hip at a time. Down and up, down toward the mat, and then back up to the ceiling. So we get a little rotation. We're working one glute at a time. If you want to take that further, hips stay level and we move to our march, taking one knee up at a time. Move through whichever progression modification is working for your body. And if we want to add a little bit more, one last lift, we can take our toes and straighten our knees, extending those toes to the ceiling. Last one on each side. We press that final foot into the mat. As our heels press down, we lift our hips up one more time, taking a big breath in. And we breathe out, lengthening that body down to the mat. Release those glutes at the bottom. Ankles and knees come together, and we rock the lower half of our body away from the screen and toward the screen with those shoulders staying pressed into the mat. One more time, rock away. One more time, rock toward, and then we come right back to center. Let's take our leg closest to the screen, cross that ankle over the knee, allowing that crossed over leg, the knee, to come out to the side just to its first natural resting point. From here, let's see if we have a little more slack to take out. We lift to figure 4 if we do. If not, that foot stays on the mat, and we're going to rock away from and toward our screen. Gently shifting our weight, it's going to move the stretch a little bit to a little bit different spot on that upper thigh as we do so. Let's come back to center, unwind. Ankle to knee again with that knee coming out to the side. Again, if we have a little more slack, we can lift up. Don't have to necessarily assume things are symmetrical. You could always lift on one side, but not on the other. And again, either way, whether lifted or not, we rock away from and toward that crossed over side. All right, coming back to center, let's unwind. Give those knees one more hug into the body. We'll take our feet to the floor. Let's turn toward our screen. We're going to come up onto our elbow. Elbow and shoulder are lined up. Hips are lined up one over the other, and those knees are forward toward the front of our mat. Heels are lined up with the bottom. We're going to press through our forearm, lifting that waistline up from the mat. Hold it there. If we poke in, we're going to feel some activity through those side muscles, pretty much no matter what you do, as long as you're pressing your forearm down. We're going to take our top arm to the ceiling, take it down in front, and then lift right back up to the ceiling. We can repeat that, or we can make it a little more challenging by lifting our hip. Either way, that arm comes up and down. One more time. Lift to the ceiling. Let's hold here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower that hip. We'll take ourselves up and over, and we're going to repeat that on our other side. Again, we're down on our forearm, elbow, shoulder lined up. Hips are stacked one on top of the other, and those knees are right up at the front of our mat with the heels lined up with our bottom. Let's press through our forearm, lift that waistline up, and use your top fingertips to press into that midsection, making sure those muscles feel active. We'll take our top arm into the ceiling. That hand comes down and up, and we're going to repeat that, maybe lifting up with the hip if we want more of a challenge. Lower and lift that hand. 2 more. Last one, touch the mat, reach to the ceiling, and we hold 4, hold 3, hold 2, and hold 1. Let's take that hip down. We'll come up to a seated position, however you're comfortable. We're gonna give those shoulders a couple of rolls back and down. We'll tip that head side to side. And then let's bring it up vertical, and we're gonna get ready to make our way to hands and knees. So if you do want that towel roll or pillow or cushion back, grab it now, place it centrally on your mat, and let's make our way up to it. Once we're up on hands and knees, let's curl through cat and cow just to get reacclimated to where we are and what we're doing. Curl it up, take it back. Come on back to center, squeeze those blades together behind the back and then press them toward the floor. We're doing our best to keep our trunk still and our elbows straight. Those blades are coming together as if we're trying to crack a walnut between them. And then they press toward the floor until we feel our underarm muscles working. Let's repeat that with one arm. The hand on the screen side comes to the thigh. We squeeze and press through our opposite blade. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switch hands. Opposite hand to the thigh, we squeeze and press for 4. For 3, keep that going. Here's 2, and 1. That hand comes down, we take our leg closest to the screen, slide it back toward the back edge of our mat, squeeze your glute, lift up toward trunk level. Hold. Let's see if we can take our opposite arm and reach it forward. 4, hold 3, hold 2, hold 1, switch it up, lengthen and reach. Again, let's hold it here for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Switch it up, one more on each side. Lengthen, reach, and lift. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Last time through. Lengthen and reach. There's 4, 3, 2, 1. Hand comes down, knee comes down. Give that tail a side to side wag. Coming back to center. Keep that core engaged, and we are going to slide that leg closest to the screen back. Arc it to our screen, to that side wall, and press the foot into the mat. As we press our foot down, we're going to take that inner thigh on the straight leg, lengthen it toward the mat. We'll feel our hip lower down toward the mat on that straight leg side. We're going to hold that position and give the body a little rock back, bottom toward heel. You move through a range that's working for you. We'll rock back and forth twice more. And last time. Let's take it back up to center, lengthen the leg back behind the body, draw it into center, next to the other knee. Big breath in, exhale, reset belly to spine, opposite leg comes back, and we arc that leg toward that far wall. Press the foot into the mat, lengthen that inner thigh down, dropping that far hip from the ceiling, and we lower that bottom. We pull right back up, shoulders over wrists. Rock back and forth. Again, moving through a range that is working for your body. One more time, rock it back, take it up, press through those hands, lengthen that leg back, and we draw that knee into center, curling through cat, and coming back, reversing to cow. Coming back to center, let's take one leg back, press the ball of the foot into the floor, reset belly to spine, bring that other leg up for plank. We hold here, or we keep our hips open while bringing our knees to the mat. Whether the knees are lifted or on the floor, we take those legs out just beyond the outer border of our mat. The knee stays bent if it's been bent. That leg stays straight as we can keep it if it's been straight. And we keep moving those legs side to side. If you want a progression from straight leg, we can move out to Spider-Man. Leg goes out. We bend the knee in toward the elbow. Place it back down on the floor. Opposite leg. One more time each. Let's take our knees back onto that cushion. Curl up through cat, and we're going to bring ourselves up to a tall kneeling position, giving those shoulders a roll back and down. Shake those wrists out. Take one hand to the front of the body, one hand to the small of the back. Big breath in, exhale, reset belly and spine toward each other. Let's lean that body back. Feel with your hands what's going on in that trunk as we lean our head back. Let's come up tall over those knees, and then we bring that body back. Breathe it back one more time. And come up tall. Hands come by the sides. We flip our palms to face the wall in front of us. Let's squeeze our blades together and lift those hands back toward the wall behind. We're going to pulse our pinkies toward each other. Pulse 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Big breath here. Exhale, arms come down. Get that padding away from under those knees, and we'll take a seat on our mat with our knees bent and the heels lined up with our sit bones. We're going to bring our hands to the outer knee joint lines. Elbows are tucked in right by the thighs. Let's give our shoulders a roll back and down. And we're going to tip that head from side to side. One more time each. Excellent. Coming back to center, Press those knees into the hands, and we're gonna lean that body back. Lean back until we feel the front of our trunk activating. If you feel your back, come up a little taller till that sensation goes away. Let's open and close one arm out to each side, giving pressure through the side where we have our pressing hand, enough that we feel our side muscles engaging to help keep us nice and still as we move. Here's 4. Switch 3. And 2. And 1. Grab those shins, pull that body up tall. We give our shoulders a roll back and down. Let's take our hands back. We're going to keep our fingertips pointing just outward from our sit bones. Release the body to rest over the heels of the hands. And then we're going to squeeze our blades together and press those shoulders away from the ears. Send that breast bone up to the ceiling. We should feel a little underarm engagement, little opening in the chest. And if we want a little bit more, we keep those elbows straight and rock that bottom forward toward our heels. As we continue to breathe, we're lifting that breastbone up to the top of the wall in front of us. And if we do have any more slack left, we could lift up to that reverse tabletop position. This is our optional progression. Wherever we are, we hold here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower those hips. Take a brief seat. Shake those wrists out. Take the hands in front. And we're going to lower fingertips down to the mat and then rest them up toward the ceiling, keeping those elbows straight, lengthening through our forearms. All right, one more shake for those arms. We'll make our way onto our side, resting on that bottom arm as we bring our knees forward, similar to what we were doing when we were resting on our forearms earlier. Our heels are lined up with the bottom. We lift that waistline up slightly and take that top hand to the waistline. Let's take our top knee up and down, moving from the hip, keeping everything else still as we can. Lift and lower that knee. Lift and lower. We're going to keep those knees down and lift our feet together up toward the ceiling and back to the mat. Try to keep that waistline nice and steady, same distance from hand to armpit, no matter where our feet are right now. Lift the feet up, hold them there, and again, we press our top knee up and down. Here's 3. Press 2. Press 1. Take the knees down, take the feet down, and let's lift that top leg up with a bent knee to hip level. Lower and lift through our hydrant position. Here's 3. Here's 2. Hold it there, and we swing that leg forward and back. The motion's coming from the hip flexion and extension. We may get a little stretch through the front of the thigh. One more time, take it forward, take it back and hold. We're going to take our top hand to the mat, straighten both legs out, and take those top toes down. Lift them up just above hip level. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. One more, lower and lift. Flex that top foot, moving from our hip. Swing the leg forward, point the toes and draw it back. Flex, bring that leg forward, point it back. 2 more, flex it forward, point it back, and last time, flex that foot forward, point it back, hold, pulse that leg to the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, hold it up there, slide the bottom leg back. Line up that bottom leg with our top leg. We're going to press that top arm firmly into the mat and reset belly to spine. Lift the bottom leg up, lower it down, lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and hold, both legs down and up. Last 4. Here's 3 and 2 and 1. Everything comes down. Bend those knees up, give your hip a little pat, roll that shoulder back and down, and let's take ourselves up and over to the other side where we'll repeat. All right, we're in the home stretch here. Thank you for hanging with me. We'll rest on that bottom arm with those knees forward and that waistline lifted. That top hand comes to the waistline and we lift that top knee up and down. Take it up. 4. Here's 3. Here's 2. Here's 1. Knee comes down. Pelvis stays still as we lift and lower our feet. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it there. Bring that top knee up again. Lift 3. Here's 2. Here's 1, take the knees down, take the feet down, lift that top leg to hip height. Hold it there. Lower and lift through hydrants. Here's 4. Here's 3, press that bottom leg into the floor for a little stability. And 1, right up above hip height, hinge from the hip. Pull that knee forward and press it back. Again, take it forward, press it back. 2 more, take it forward and press. 1 more time, forward, take it back, hold it there. Top hand presses into the mat and we straighten those legs out. Lower and lift that bottom leg, or that top leg rather. Here's 3, 2, lift and hold, flex that foot, swing forward, moving from the hip. Point the toes, draw back. Flex forward, point back, 2 more. Forward and back, last one, flex it forward, point it back and hold. Let's go ahead and take that leg up and down. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and hold. Slide the bottom leg back to line up with the top leg, and we'll bring that bottom leg up and down. 4, 3, 2, hold it up there, both legs together, lower and lift. 4, 3, 2, 1, hold them there. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Everything comes down. Bend those knees up. Give your hip a pat. Let's turn onto our backs. We'll bend up our knees, lining our heels up with our sit bones. Let's stretch our hands to the ceiling, and with the palms facing each other, we open those arms out to the sides. See if you can get the backs of your hands to the mat. Stretch those fingertips out to the side walls, and we'll turn our head from side to side, opening up through that chest. Let's look to the ceiling. Big breath in. Exhale, nod the chin. Drop your breastbone and middle back to the floor. Take those lowest ribs, drop them down. Let's hold. Big breath in. Exhale, those arms come down by the sides and we press our palms into the mat. Let's cross an ankle over the other knee. If you have more slack, we can lift up. Either way, we can rock side to side. Upper body stays still, lower body rocks. Feel that stretch move slightly to different points in the hips as we continue to rock. We'll come back to center, take the foot down, repeating on the other side, ankle to knee. If you have a little more slack, we can lift and we can rock. Come on back to center, unwind, give those knees a hug. Let's take our feet to the floor. We'll turn ourselves back over to hands and knees. Again, feel free to grab your cushion if you'd like it. Once we're up in that all fours position, we're going to curl through cat, take it to cow, and come back to center. Give that tail a side to side wag, and again, we'll come back to center. Turn those toes under, take your bottom back to your heels, and let's walk our hands back to our knees. We'll shift our weight back over to our feet, and once our center of gravity is right over those ankles, we'll bring ourselves up to standing and give those shoulders a roll back and down. Excellent. All right, get your bearings, get that cushion out of the way, and we'll make our way to the center of our mat to wrap up. Feet are hip width apart, weight is right over those ankles. We're going to soften up our knees, take a big breath in. As we exhale, we center belly to spine and shrug those shoulders up, drop them down. One more time, shrug them up, drop them down, turn and look side to side over one shoulder, over the other, and let's come back to center. We're going to take our feet together. Let's close with a big breath in. Arms come out, up and overhead. As the fingertips reach up, we look to them. Let's press our palms together and draw everything to center. Great work as always. So happy to have you here. Enjoy your weekend, everybody, and we'll do this again next time. Thanks.